layers to the cloud or potential layers? Because you mentioned some of them. You can go IaaS and kind of manage it yourself. You can go PaaS, and some of that's managed by somebody else. Or you can go, I guess, a layer above that is just SaaS, just consuming something as a service, like Office 365, for instance, if we're going down the Microsoft route. And then there's some sort of identity layer under the whole thing. Now, if I'm an ops person and I'm concerned with security, where do I even know where to start in terms of what I should be looking at first? Should I start with like the application and work my way down, or should I start with that base level of whatever infrastructure I'm working with and work my way up?
So this depends on if you have application security professionals where you work, because if there's an AppSec team and an ops team that's separate, or like a security operations center, like a SOC. So if there's an AppSec person, that AppSec person should be handling the application layer. Like they should be handling all the software stuff, like the SaaS, the APIs, all those things. They might come to you to work with you. For instance, for the APIs, they'll want to talk to you and be like, we think service mesh is cool. What do you think? Can we do this? Because you are the operations folks that have to support it. But the actual building of the applications, that should be them. But a lot of places don't have an AppSec team. A lot have one security person whose hair is on fire. And, and if I were that person, I would always start with apps, because we are, unfortunately, the #1 cause of breach. We are the #1 cause of data leak or data breach. Every year we have one. So every year that I've looked, so 2016, 17, 18, and 19, and so far, like the first section of 2020, we've won the distinction of being, like, by a vast majority of causing the breaches is insecure software, which is embarrassing as an AppSec professional. But anyway, at least I have job security. So if I were an ops person, the #1 thing I would start with is just like putting multi-factor authentication on everything and installing a password manager, like an enterprise level one. So if someone quits, you're not lost, and like locking that down. And then if you have no AppSec people, like look at your apps. You can do some really basic things for quick wins. So quick wins in the cloud. Look at that dashboard, and if there are warnings, like if Azure is giving you recommendations, just knock that stuff out as fast as you can. If you don't use, like, I don't mean to talk about Azure a lot. I don't work there anymore, just to be clear. But I'm still allowed to like it. But basically, like running VA scan tools, so like Nessus, Nexpose, like things like that, that will just like go over all your VMs and just tell you, this one's on fire, here's why, like you're missing this patch from like 3 years ago that's a really critical security thing, like could you please update this? So having those run constantly and then actually like fixing the stuff that you find, I know, wacky idea, and like prioritizing it. So if you can scan all the things regularly, and in the cloud, that is a thing that you can set up, and then just like all the criticals, we need to knock those out within X number of business days. And then you can also run, sometimes people call them VA scans, but in AppSec, we call them like dynamic application security testing scans, like DAST. So something like running Burp Suite Pro, running OWASP Zap, running Acunetics, running AppScan, running etc. You can run that on a running app in a test environment, and it will give you a bunch of things, and most of them will be true positives. It will have a crap ton of false negatives. So by that I mean the results it shows you, most of them will actually be a thing. The things it doesn't show you, it'll miss 70-ish% of things wrong with your app. You're like, why is that acceptable?
Because that's a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. But the reason why you want to find that 30% is because that is the low hanging fruit that some kid in their mom's basement that's like really angry against the world will be able to find in like 10 minutes and then exploit. So if you fix that low hanging fruit, you've officially become slightly difficult to hack, which means a whole bunch of potential malicious actors will be like, oh, let's just move on.